architect, but I work in the business automation portfolio, and watsonx Orchestrate is our brand new offering we're very excited about. I'm here to introduce our two guests. I'll do Alex real quick first, and then our main speaker next. So Alex is an innovator across lots of things in system engineering. I found that very interesting when I saw his bio myself. I'm kind of a system engineer and architect type person. Works on like lots of different high volume data set type things over his years of experience in various industries, by the way, too, finance, healthcare, entertainment. So again, a lot of experience, and I think it's great to have him here as the CTO of ThisWay Global, our partner. And then our CEO here, Angela, will be our primary speaker, but he'll be around for questions too. She has also kind of been solving those big scale problems across different industries. I think it's really cool what Angela is doing in solving something that honestly is something we all deal with. Like, wouldn't it be wonderful if we all had a great job that was matched well to us that we enjoy doing? Well, that's kind of what ThisWay Global seems to really be targeting at, right? She'll tell you a lot more about it. I'll let her introduce the company. But she's also worked in varied industries from kind of land development, architecture, tech, etc. And started the company, how many years ago was it? Was it 4 years ago? More?
A decade ago.
A decade ago. But really awesome. So thanks so much for working with us as a partner in the Watson Orchestrate catalog. And I'm going to let you take it from here.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. I love having rooms that are this nice because honestly, a lot of times when we give talks about Watson Orchestrate, the room is hundreds or thousands of people, and I actually don't get to interact with y'all. So I would love to find out a little bit more about you. So how many people are IBM people? Okay, and then everyone else is with a customer or business partner. Okay, great. All right, so I'm going to try to cover the different perspectives as we go through. So as it was explained, I'm Angela Hood. I'm the founder and the CEO of ThisWay Global. We're an AI company. We very particularly specialize in HR tech and HR tech business automation. So what does that mean? It means that we try to remove silos in systems that keep people from having jobs that they love. We also try to make sure that companies can find talent that they really need. If you saw everything that we see on the back end, you would realize how big of a problem this really is. So we started our journey with IBM a couple of years ago on Watson Orchestrate. We're their go-to-market partner in HR tech. And today is the first time that anyone has ever seen skills threaded together from different systems that all work in unison. A lot of times if you're looking on the internet or you're looking at the website for IBM, you'll see videos and they're like kind of marketing videos. We're not going to do that today. We're going to do live. Digital labor is the concept around we really need for people to be able to do things differently. We need for them to be able to do them better. We need for them to have a better work-life balance. All of this is what digital labor is. I think it's really important when we're talking about this that especially when you're talking to your company, we're not talking about trying to replace people. We're not trying to take their jobs, and this is the fear anytime. I want to make sure that we get in front of that because there will be way too much resistance to some really great technology if you don't. We'll go next. So this is me and Rob Thomas of IBM, and this is Edward Gordon. Edward Logan. He is the president and CEO of Swirl Clips. So it's a hair salon, primarily for men. It's a pretty cool place. And they have roughly 2,000 salons, about 13,000 people. And they decided that they wanted to use our product with Watson Orchestrate. And the goal is that they're like, we need to find where the talent is. We need to find it everywhere in the United States. We need to find it in Canada. We need to find it very quickly because we want to grow from 13,000 to 17,000 in the next couple of years. So it's very important that they be able to know exactly what talent is available to them. They had 10 to 12,000 people that they had contact with that they had built up over, I think, about 30 years of business. And They started working with us, and day one, we were able to show them 672,000 people that had licenses to cut hair. They could, there were salon workers. They were people that instruct salon workers about how to be certified. So it changed their business completely. And that was day one. And that's the kind of ROI that is delivered with Watson Orchestrate and the combination of our tech. Can you go next? This is a piece of research that Future of Work did around just what is the cost of us not solving this problem. So it's estimated that 85 million jobs will go unfilled. And it's because the jobs that we need to have done are misaligned with the skill set that the workforce has. And there's a lot of people trying to upskill individuals. Not everyone wants to be upskilled. I'll just tell you that, right? We try it. We work with a lot of companies that do upskilling. And there's some resistance. People are like, I don't want to enter into the tech world. Yeah, I get that. But that's where the job is. So there's this kind of friction that's happening. Estimated unrealized annual revenue, $8.5 trillion. So the work has to get done. We cannot miss $8.5 trillion in business, right? So how do we get the work done? We train people to use technology that does more. That is the best way to solve this problem. Go next. So I'm just going to focus today on this one little piece, the HR. So if you can see customer support, procurement, sales and marketing, business processes, all of this can be accomplished with Watson Orchestrate and watsonx. But the thing about HR is if you do not have the people in your business to do this, nothing else matters. You have to have the right people. And the right people sometimes are change management. Sometimes it's people that actually are operating the system. Sometimes it's people that say it's going to be okay and makes everyone feel all right about adoption of technology. So there's different roles that need to be played, and we all are part of that. All right? There's 3 phases, and we're going to show you that today. So pre-built skills are added. So our skill and our partners' skills are skills that are called out of the box. They're just sitting there. Day one, when you start using the product, you're sitting there, you can start using them. Okay? You choose what you want. Alex is going to show you how you do that. It's very easy. Then the next step is custom skills are developed. So internally, your organization starts using it, and they're like, wait a second, okay, now I get how this works. I would like this, this, and this to be automated. They tell you, someone in the business does that. We can take people that have never developed anything in their life. We can train them over the course of a couple of weeks, and they can start building skills. Okay, so this is not something that you have to have your top IT team doing this. Third part is the understanding will grow. They'll start driving productivity, and then adoption across the company is bigger. So our adoption schedule starts in HR, starts in talent acquisition, in sourcing, and hiring managers. That's primarily who's using our part of the tech. It touches every part of the business. You'll start seeing people that, oh, I really like this, I really like this. You'll start seeing teams that don't want to use tech at all. And that's where you have to start looking into how you're going to do the change management. It really matters, but I will tell you that most companies find ROI within 2 weeks of using it. So that part I find really incredible. All right. So watsonx Orchestrate has 3 kind of categories. It's how does it interact, how does it think, and how does it work. I'm going to show you most of this when we do the demo in a minute. Chat is like kind of, you know what chat is, right? We all can see chat all the time. A lot of you probably work with a company that has chat. Some of these things you're like, oh yeah, I get multitasking, but you probably don't really understand that means Watson can do multiple things at one time. So you can tell it to go do this and this and this, and you can be doing something else over here, and all the things are happening all at the same time. It's very cool. The dynamic sequencing we're going to focus on today because it is one of the biggest problems in HR tech. The average company in their tech stack to manage talent, there's 21 different systems that they're trying to thread together to make to work together. A mid-market company, not uncommon for it to be over 100 platforms. And we have a customer that's a healthcare customer. They use 171 different systems that they need to have all connected together, okay? That sounds like a lot, but your Fortune 100 companies, you're looking at more like 500 and 600 different platforms. That's what they're using in order to make things work. That's why it's such a big pain. Number of job boards that are available to recruiters in the US, 18,000. That is what recruiters deal with on a daily basis. So when your recruitment team says, oh, I don't think we have a problem, it's because they're used to suffering through in silence. They just won't even ask for help anymore because it hasn't ever been brought to them. So you kind of have to push through that when you introduce it. All right, let's go ahead. So there's 4 different categories. There's the user that's using the tech. There's Watson that's operating things in the background. There's companies that are building discover skills. They're building and training skills. They're making the actual individual functionalities happen. And then last, there's the automation. So the automation part is where you actually see the third parties. So think of us as a third party. You see the third parties acting with each other. So we would talk about this with companies, and companies would be like, I don't know if this is going to work because I don't know if the companies can talk. So what did we do? We went out and started talking to the companies. And we just started building our own chain of technologies all together as part of the sequencing. Okay, good. So what you're going to see today is I want you to imagine you're a talent source or talent acquisition recruiter or a hiring manager. Any of the 4 would be able to use this. You can operate it manually. You'll see NBA, which is next best action. Always have to remember NBA because I won't say it right otherwise. But NBA is like a recommendation to say this is the thing you should do next. And there's sometimes there'll be like 8 choices. And sometimes you think, oh, I was going to do this, but maybe I'll do that. You have composite skills. So this is like a pre-built set of skills that automatically you can like click a button, kick it off, and it will just do things for you. And then you can have a very complex one, okay? I will tell you that for us to show you all those, we're going to need the internet to work today. So we're like, this is where we cross fingers, pray, all the things. Okay, so for ThisWay, we deliver talent. We deliver job descriptions with a generative AI that creates compliant and unbiased job descriptions. Very important if you want to get talent from a broad range that are qualified. You have to make the bias pull out of that job description. WageScape, one of our partners, is going to provide compensation information. I want to tell you an example of this. So I'm not going to use the company name, but we have a lot of logistics companies that are our customers. And one of them was getting all the talent, and one of them was getting no talent. And they were both in Memphis. And so we get a phone call and it says, we are really having this problem. So we said, well, our partner WageScape can help with this. Turns out that a person that was making $36,000 a year as a lead warehouse operator was now making $85,000. And it was because there was such a shortage. The holidays were coming up, and this one company was like, we're doubling down, we're going to get the people in, right? So everyone was going to work for them, and everyone was leaving the other company. So what happened? They had to make dramatic changes in salary. So that happened for about 8 months. Then there was a big layoff, and now the salaries kind of evened out. But the new salary was $48,000. That's what it took to hire anyone in that market. But the recruiters had no idea that this was going on because they didn't have daily data. So the data that WageScape is using is every day, it's updated. It is not Bureau of Labor and Statistics data. It is not 2 quarters old, okay? You don't need that data, that's bad. So that's WageScape. Flow Career is one of our other partners. They allow you to interview people in a structured way. So if you have more than 15 people as employees at your company, you have to be compliant with the EEOC. If you are doing any work at all with the federal government, so this could be any university, any public organization, it could be pharmacies, all kinds of companies, right, are having to be OFCCP compliant. This is the concern in HR teams. It's like, can I use this tech and still be compliant? So Flow Career helps with that because it makes sure that you have a systematic way to interview people, and you can prove you did it the same way with everyone. You can prove that you did it in a compliant manner, and all of this part is automated. It's very cool. And then the last part is just general things like OFCCP compliance, other operations like emailing the candidate, setting up the interview with Calendly, all of this stuff, right? All of those are skills that are coming into Watson Orchestrate this year. So we'll have 50 additional skills more than what you see today. And then the automation part is really based off of what you need. That's the thing I love about the system is you get to pick. I need the system to do this. I need sourcers to do one thing. I need recruiters to do something different. I need the people that manage hourly to do something different than the people that are managing hiring managers. This is a complexity that other systems have never been able to manage, and it's absolutely critical. All right. So, empowering business, elevating teams, and enjoying the job. That is what IBM Watson Orchestrate is focused on, okay? So this is really important to think about because I think it's a shift in what Big Blue has always been about, right? I've never heard Big Blue talking about, oh, we want to enjoy the job. But that's the thing I think that's so incredible about IBM is they have made a shift in technology, a shift in the product delivery, and a shift in how they talk about their products. And it's made a really big difference. It's, to me, I think it's part of the transformation that we really needed as an industry, as the tech industry. All right, you'll go. So these are the things that IBM is making available. Right, this is very cool. So you can have a sales rep get on the call with you and just show you, right? You would be very specific. I need to see it do this, or when will it be able to do that, and how can I make it help me in this department or that department? And then you can go one step further. You can actually get a workshop. And right now they're doing them at no cost. That won't be forever. I don't know when that will stop, so I would recommend you sign right up for the free workshop because the workshop is very cool. And then the last one is Expert Labs. So if you can imagine that you have a strategic goal and you get together with your team and you're like, we want to be able to accomplish X, Y, and Z. You've got to have a plan. There is a bit of change management if you're going to do it across the entire organization. And the workshop and then the Expert Labs can help you execute. So you plan in the workshop, execute with Expert Labs, and it's not going to be hard. So that's part of the reason why I decided to have Alex join me today. Just so you know, Alex doesn't like doing these things at all. Like, I was like, please, come on, let's do it. And so when he showed me what the system was capable of doing and how easy it was, I was like, okay, we really need to show that. We really need to take this moment for you to understand that because I think that gets lost in a lot of the marketing. Okay, you can go. So what do? We build out-of-the-box skills and private skills. So what I told you before is our skills, we put them in the public catalog. So anyone that has Watson Orchestrate can actually use our skills. They can say, I want to do that, I want to do this other thing. They don't have to call us. They just like check a button, right? Okay, IBM Silver Reseller. So we're a partner. And what is kind of unusual about us, I think, is we actually partner with other resellers. We have a way that we do this. A lot of people will ask us, TD SYNNEX is our VAD, and so we do work with TD SYNNEX resellers a lot just because we're around them, but it doesn't mean that we have to work with just TD SYNNEX. Okay, so we can go to other resellers, partner with them. We have some teaming agreements that are quite large. So this is not like just small deals, right? So if you were saying, I don't have time to ramp up my team on this, but we want to get into it, let me know. We'll figure out a way to work together. Chris Hodges, right here, He's your point on this, so reach out to him here today if you want to talk to him. HR, business automation, and watsonx experts. So we have been with the team that was developing watsonx Orchestrate since day one, or maybe day two, maybe day 1.5, but very early when it was almost still like a PowerPoint. So we understand the product, we understand what's happening and when, and we can also help influence the roadmap, right? I can't go to IBM and say we need you to do this or this, but we can build a use case and say this is why it's important, and we feel like that this will really drive value for the customer. And those are kinds of things that I would say if you want to be part of that at this level, then now is the time to do that. I don't think that there will be as much flexibility next year. So I would say don't hesitate on that one. So what you're seeing down the bottom are different skills that you can do, right? So if you were a recruiter, you might want to see show all open jobs. You might want to write a job description. You might want to show direct applicants. So just rank and score all my direct applicants, okay? So there's all these different functionalities down the bottom. Okay, so if you'll notice on the far left, you see a score. So that score is based off of looking at a resume and the job description and matching them up, okay? So it's based on the skills. The things that you'll see that are redacted, first name, last name, email, all this information, the location, like why is the information redacted? So one of the things that we are best known for is that we match without bias. So bias in name, in age, in ethnicity, in gender, it just goes on and on and on. There's 188 biases that cause people to not get jobs. Not even to be looked at. They don't even get an interview because of it. People will see that your last name sounds a little bit foreign, well, probably you can't speak English. It's like, what? But these are the kinds of things that are happening every day. The other thing that's more bizarre, I find, I think we don't really realize this, is you can have the name of a person's ex-wife or ex-husband. You might have the same first name, Sally or Tom, and you won't even get an interview. You will not be looked at. Because no, I don't talk to people named Tom. Done. Like, and I'm not joking, this really happens. So this doesn't allow you to do that, okay? As a recruiter or hiring manager, doesn't allow it. But even better, the company can prove that that was not the case. The company can prove, without a doubt, that you did not make a decision on who you wanted to talk to because you didn't know gender, you didn't know age, you did not know ethnicity, you didn't know any of that information. So why do we not show you location? Because there's an incredible amount of bias about where a person lives. The zip code, people will say, oh, I don't hire people out of that zip code. It's like, what? How do you know every person that lives in that zip code? But that's what we do as humans. We make shortcuts. We think we love our shortcuts because they help us pick our significant other in the restaurant we love and places on vacation. It's all great. But you know what's not great is when you keep a person from getting a job because of this thinking. It's messed up, okay? So we try to get that, we just wash that out. Okay, so you get the expertise, you get their skills, and when you actually download this list or when it gets pushed into your applicant tracking system or your CRM, you can go to Salesforce, wherever you want to operate it from, when it gets pushed into there, you get phone number, you get email, you get other pieces of information. But this is after you've already decided, I'm going to talk to that person. So it's helping you be compliant, it's helping you be fair, it's helping your company be fair, your company be compliant. It matters, okay? This is going to be the #1 resistance. If you try to take this to your company or a client and you start talking about this, you have got to say compliance first. You've got to say EEOC compliant, OFCCP compliant. These acronyms matter. Then they will listen. If you don't say those things, not listening. This is what I was saying the next best action, right? It's giving you choices. It's saying, show me qualified applicants or request this job, prove to me it's OFCCP compliant. Like, I don't trust it, show me. How about revoke OFCCP compliance? So the reason why this happens is sometimes recruiters will just hit all, make everything compliant. You don't need OFCCP compliant if the job is in the UK or if it's in India or whatever. And sometimes that's what they do. They just hit all, do everything, and then they want to revoke it. So we needed to be able to enable that. Show passive candidates means that maybe we have 8 applicants, right? So this job just went live. It is compliant, we can see that. It's been live for 5 days, and we've got 8 qualified people, but maybe I want to see show passive candidates, which would mean we would give you 300 passive candidates that fit the job description. It happen like that, and if you have the sequence built, it can also email them, it can schedule the interview using Calendly or whatever it is that you use. It can bring in compensation data so that you know what to offer them. And you can say this job is going to pay between these 2 ranges. And then you can also send it to Flow Career and say, tell me what I should be asking these candidates so that I'm consistent and fair. All right, all that can be happening for you. So you'll see over here on source, you'll see we know where the job came from, or I'm sorry, we know where the applicant came from. We can see the score, so we have one that's 99%, that's amazing. And then the rest of them are not amazing. And I will tell you, we see this very consistently. We will have people that are janitors that apply for lawyer positions, right? And sometimes you have a ton of really qualified people, and so you'll have a whole bunch that are really highly ranked. But this is really more typical is when you post something out to one of the big job boards, you usually have 1 or 2 that are really qualified and the rest are not. So this is going to keep your recruiter from looking at all the others. They'll be able to go straight to the one that's highest ranked. The other thing it does too is if you see over here where it talks about current title, a lot of times people do work in a title that does not make any sense with a different company. So they may be called a project manager at one place and they're a business analyst at another. And it causes people to not be seen for work. We fill out a resume, we say that we're a business analyst, and because that's what I'm called at my current job. You know, that's what everyone's been calling me for 8 years. So that's what I call myself. But then the company I applied to is looking for a project manager with some other title. And you get disqualified immediately with other matching systems because of that. We do not look at that. We look at what were you doing at your last couple of jobs, and then what is the job description asking for? That's what we're matching against, so we end up finding a lot better matches and making sure a lot more people are not overlooked. If you look at my history, my background is in architecture and construction engineering, and then people now think of me as an architect as far as technology goes. So architect means a lot of things, but our matching understands the context of the company that you're at, the company that the job is attached to, what type of architect we're talking about, what type of architect you've asked for before. So you get a lot better matching, even though the person oftentimes does not enter very good information. We also devise job descriptions, so we understand the job description and the background to say these are the skills that are required, and kind of throw out all the fluff that really doesn't matter so that we can get our hiring manager to go, yes, that's what I was looking for. But that's what you'll see on the right-hand side is the expertise. And if you know in current title, you'll see they have different types of titles. And we see this consistently. And what we've learned is the people who are qualified. When you actually look at them, you're like, wow, how is that? This doesn't make any sense. Their job title is totally different. They were working in a completely different industry. But that's our own bias saying that they have to be from our industry and that they have to have the exact title or they don't match. It's quite weird how we've developed over time. So walk us through what the delegated interview process is.
So in this particular skill, what we're doing is we're marrying two skills. We're marrying a skill that ThisWay Global does, which is given a job title, our AI can create a full job description. And then we're going to take that job description and send it to our partner Flow Career, and they're going to build an interview process for that particular job in preparation for candidates coming in. So that's what this is. And so essentially, It's two separate, different systems, two APIs, two, it's a full integration, essentially. But we didn't write any code anywhere to integrate it.
Alright, so this is the generative part. So what Alex just did, this is part of our skills. He just typed in a job description, a job title, and it created the job description automatically, okay? So this is based off of about a decade of job description learning we've done about job descriptions that actually cause qualified candidates to come into the job. That's the focus. We want qualified people. So I'm sure everyone in this room has read a job description and it's like 4 pages and you're like, I have no idea what this job is. And also it's advertising for people and it's asking for technology. You have 10 years experience, but the tech's only been around for 3 years. Like, this is very common, right? So we are trying to help with that, okay? So that's the generative part, okay?
So now we're just going to send this exact job description down to our partners at Flowprinter, and that's it. And so their system has now created an interview process for these the candidates that will begin flowing in at some point. So that's just 2 APIs in that particular call.
Right. And that would have taken weeks to build, but it took hours, or maybe minutes. I think it's less than a couple hours.
That was probably 20 minutes long.
20 minutes, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So that part, I would tell you, like, from the person that manages the P&L in our company, I cannot tell you how blissful that makes me. Because we will get something that will come in, the customer asks for it, we will call the partner will say, yes, we have the API, and the next day, Alex is like, okay, we got it, it's deployed. Oh my God. And so now the customer's super happy, it creates a stickiness, it creates a meaningful relationship between us and our customers, and us and our partners, because our partners are able to start delivering better on revenue. Okay, let me go to the next.
So now what we're going to do is do a somewhat more complex set of skills. So we're going to, again, create a generative AI-based job description based on the title. And then, I'm going to forget exactly what we're going to do. Then we're going to send that job description to our partner WageScape. They're going to give us a salary range. We're going to update the job description with a salary range and then send that to OFCCP compliance partner for OFCCP compliance check. And then we're going to run a passive query and generate 300 passive candidates based on that same job description.
Right. Okay, so what he just described takes a recruiter about a day and a half to do. Just to give you some perspective, right? To find 300 qualified people takes a very long time. And it doesn't matter if they're using LinkedIn or whatever, right? So it's bad. Okay, so, all right, there's the job description. Here's the job key that I was just telling you about right there. That is so important. We left it visual because people would ask us that are in the industry. They were like, yeah, but what about the job key? We're like, fine, we'll show you that the job key is tracking all the way through.
Now we're going to ask WageScape to give us a compensation range, which it just did. Now we're going to update the job description so that the compensation range is on the job description.
So let me add why that's important. There's several states that now require compensation as part of the job post. So there you are as a recruiter, you're like, I have no idea what to put in here. You know, they don't know. And the data's so outdated. Can you imagine if you're trying to get data from 21 in today's market? Like, you're going to be in trouble if you do that. You're not going to be right. So this gives a really tight baseline because, like I said, you're getting data that was collected in the last couple of days. It's updated daily.
Okay, so there's more information on there, but in this particular case, we've only used the minimum and maximum, so just change the job description for that. And now we're going to send it for a compliance check. That's done. And now we're going to just go and use the same job description that is now compliant and has a salary range on it, and we're going to check our passive data set, and there's some candidates for that job.
Yeah, so a recruiter at this moment is, I'm not joking, I've had them hug me. They're like, yes, okay, I get to see my kid's soccer game. This is amazing. I don't have to be reading resumes and plowing through data to try to find the compensation data and know if I'm right or wrong and build a job description because we don't have a current one. It goes on and on.
And lots of us export this one. So.
Oh yeah. Can you show the export? So this export can either, like I said, it can be done. You go to Salesforce, it can go to your CRM, it can go into your applicant tracking system, it can go wherever, right? Tons of information, and it can be categorized or structured according to the way you need the data to flow in and out. So things can move around. That can all happen in Watson Orchestrate as a skill. Can you go to the hamburger on the top left? So I want to show you all how you can go to monitor skills for me. I want to show you how you can calculate your ROI. So this is, if you notice at the top, it has today, yesterday, last week, last month, and then a custom range. So every company needs to know, like, are we getting value out of this? Like, what is this thing doing for us? And it also can tell you if you have people that are not using the technology. Like, you go out and you buy it, they ask for it, and they're not using it. We have a really great relationship with IBM and customer success. So the person that has onboarded, I think all of the customers on the platform is here. There she is. Yes. So she knows the ins and outs of all the systems, and we know it from the beginning. And we've gone through a couple of different UIs, right? So we know the legacy issues, we know that those have been cleaned up, and the new version is so nice. This is amazing because this is one of the things the first version didn't have. It didn't have a way for us to show how much ROI was being delivered to the platform. And the other thing I love is if you can see the skills that are being used, right? Look, you're not having to guess. And one of the ways that your CHRO or head of talent acquisition, that person, needs to know that all the jobs are OFCCP compliant, right? If that one is not high enough, it tells them something is wrong. A fine for not being compliant, it starts at around $95,000. It can go up to 300, 400 million. So these are not small things. When people go through audits for OFCCP compliance, it takes them an entire year. It's brutal, right? So these are moments that if you're talking to a client, you're talking internally to your team, bring it up because it's where the pain points are. And they will understand that you know them.
Just to show how easy it is to create and manipulate these skills in Watson. So this is the, let me see if I can find the other one. So the skills are basically the composite skills, the ones that are useful from a business perspective, are essentially just drag and drop. So you can see, so it's our skills going along, each one of these represents a separate API call, but then we're taking data from this API call and mapping it into data for the compensation range API call, and then mapping that into data for updating the salary, so on and so forth. And these are all just individual API calls strung together with Watson Orchestrate. And Watson is suggesting things, it's telling you here's the best values to use, it's doing transformations on data, so your one API is producing a string, you need it to be a numeric, Watson deals with that. And in addition to which, so this is a pre-formed skill. You don't need anybody to code anything, this is a no-code solution for building a composite flow. And and even if you're using just the native APIs, as you use them, Watson learns what works together and starts making these next best action suggestions, saying you should try, here's some skills that will work with the data that you just received from the previous one. So even it's less than zero code. So you don't have to do anything. So it's super simple to string these things together. And every one of these APIs is simply Open API compliant. And to even build an initial one. literally you drag and drop the open API into Watson and log yourself in.
Can you talk about the authentication protocols for a second?
Well, there's, so it supports OpenAPI, excuse me, I apologize. OAuth 2, OpenID Connect, client key, if I remember correctly. I would not be authority on everything in terms of that, but long story short is, all the standard authentications, but as you saw, I didn't have to re-authenticate into everything. Watson remembers all that. It's maintaining all the appropriate keys and connections to, OAuth. And so we're driving data through our APIs, through partner APIs, seamlessly and without any kind of code or effort, really. That's it. That's all that is.
All right, well, that's a lot. Okay, so Q&A. What would y'all like to know? Please ask.
I have a question about preview skill versus private skill. So, what's the percentage you use private skill on top of the preview skill on the box?
So there is a skills catalog. Can you go to that? That is just all the skills that have been made public, and they're just sitting there just ready to go, right? There's not like this huge thing you have to do in order to have access to them. But there are some companies that want to build a skill that only they have access to. They don't want everyone else to be able to see it, because it gives them differentiation, it gives them advantage in the market. And so in order to be competitive, there's some people that keep their skills private. We just don't do that, right? So now we do have customers that are wanting us to build skills for them now that no one else will be able to see. So in their instance, they can see it, and they can allow through permissions for certain people in their company to see them, and not other people, right? So obviously we always have that. It's one of the things I really like about it, because there is some individuality about it, where if I have a better way of doing things, I don't have to change that. I don't have to necessarily bend to like the big group. But if I'm struggling, I can use a workflow with someone else that's really doing the job well, and I can kind of do my job better too.
I'll just extend that with one thing, purpose. Yeah. If you have something you're using today internally, like she was mentioning there, your own process, your own API, etc., you don't have to replace it with something, right? All you do is link and create a skill for it, and then expose it to the right teams, right? So you can reuse what you already have.
Yeah, and it does reduce the change management, because people get so accustomed to something, like, they're like, you're not taking that from me, we don't have to, we just need an API, and we'll like put it in here and work inside the workflow that you have.
Yeah, I guess one question I would have would be, kind of like modifying these out-of-the-box skills that we have to, fit whatever my company is, right? I mean, for example, wage caps, right? I'm gonna get a fair wage there, but what if I, as a company, want to offer maybe 10% more of that rate, right? Just to get more interest, or what if I, like for sales management roles, require at least 7 years and not 5 years as the description would generate, right? Like, how easy is it to put those rules in the out-of-the-box stuff for me to like get them off the ground quickly, right?
Yeah, I mean, so, you saw the flow that I had, right? There are defaults. I simply set the defaults the way I set them. You notice I didn't type Mountain View over in California and everything, right? I just defaulted the skill to that. I can show you, but, at the end of the day, for every linkage in the skill, you can create whatever defaults you want. And there are transformations available in Watson as well. So you could potentially say, whatever the dollar amount is that WageScape produces, I want times 0.1.
And so we did the same thing. We set our jobs to remote, because we're a 100% remote company. So I just have mine done like that, right? So that way I don't have to go and fill it in. It also reduces individual errors. We just humans, we make mistakes, and so it's nice to solve that. And then process mining too. Maybe you could cover process mining better than I, but I love this part. I think this is incredible.
We're looking at adding additional capabilities to the platform. One of the things that is certainly under consideration is the idea of type of rule management, right? And so an example of the skill flow might be that you do call an API wages, for example, you get some information back, and then you call another API in the skill flow that I was showing earlier, where you do some type of transformation to it that's even more complex than a simple multiplication, right? So again, the skill flow is like that type of stuff. So But yeah, so process mining, I mean, think about all the processes that we're trying to automate up here, right? Think about all of that, and then realize that some of them are even less visible or not visible at all in the organization, right? You cannot see the process, you can't see the skill flow that's happening. And it's kind of stuck there in systems, maybe in people's heads as well, kind of a combination of that, right? So process mining has a few attributes to it. Sometimes it's actually also called process modeling and mining together. I'll give a really brief overview. So you can extract data out of systems, event logs, those types of information. Think of an applicant tracking system or an ERP system or a CRM system or anything like that. Extract the data out, and then we run it through an AI algorithm that allows you to immediately discover and visualize the process immediately. You see the diagram, similar to a skill flow, just a little bit different than that. And then you can do things like analysis and dive into the data, understand simulations, what happens if I change the process, all very quickly and immediately without having to go through a long process. If you also have your own process diagram modeled, then you can import that in and you can do conformance checking. There's way more than I can cover now, but those are a couple ideas, and that allows you to identify areas for automation, which then you could maybe use Orchestrate to help you with, right, or other types of tools. A lot of our business partners, either in the room or outside the room, have a lot of experience in this area too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I think the thing about this, and I'm talking very specifically about HR, there's so much compliance, and compliance is constantly changing, and they are often having to hire people that don't have as much expertise as they would like, and they don't necessarily know the processes. And we can really help them mitigate that risk of having that new hire that doesn't really know what's going on, and they need to spin them up quickly. When you have this type of system that helps them automate processes that work together, and also you can have process mining to tell something didn't happen, you can fix it immediately. And I will tell you, we work really closely with the EEOC and OFCCP, and through that, a lot of what they look at when someone gets in trouble is, were they trying to do what is best for the business? Were they trying to automate? Were they trying to track processes? Or were they being cavalier and letting people do whatever they wanted to, right? That's where people and companies start getting in trouble. And so that's why I say we have to stay on top of that. We have to talk about it early, because a lot of times when someone says no to something, it's because they think the risk of buying that is higher than not buying it. And in this case, that is very wrong. But we have to be very clear with them and explain to them why. We would love for you to reach out to us, and we'd love to be able to help you all. It's an exciting moment to be part of the platform, and we love that you came in today. I wish there were more of you, but you get to be like first and best, right?
thank you so much, Angela. I really appreciate it. A round of applause, please.